good afternoon, Chief. Thanks for coming out and being part of our podcast. Um,
Thanks for having me out here.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah. So this is gonna be our third episode that we're recording. Just wanted to get sit down with you and go over some stuff. Um, if you want to take some time and introduce yourself so
Sure,
the public
sure.
that don't
hmm
know who you are yet.
hmm
So go ahead, Chief.
All right. Well, I grew up in Brownsville, and I've made Harlingen my home. Right. Let's be clear about that. Right. I've made Harlingen my home, but I grew up in a low-income neighborhood in Brownsville, and graduated from high school and left to the Marines, and uh, ended up going to college, and then I got hired here in 1995. So it's been about 30 years. And I'm proud to say that one of the interesting things that I learned over the years I didn't know was my great great grandfather was the city marshal in Brownsville,
Oh,
and
okay.
got shot by Juan Cortina and started what they called the Cortina Wars back in the 1850s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a interesting fact that I learned. But anyways, going back to my service here, yeah, I've served here about 30 years and a little over 30 years actually.
Okay. So 30 years you've been through a lot of the different divisions here at the department, right?
A lot of divisions and worked under a lot of several chiefs.
Several chiefs.
hmm
Okay. I know on some of the other interviews that we've seen of you, you've bring up a program called Safer.
Yes.
What is that?
Strategic analysis for focused engagement with results. And bottom line, what it is, it's a data-driven approach to crime and traffic safety.
Okay. And you mentioned that we have done this in the past years, a few years back, and it worked. And we want to re-implement it now. What is some of the first steps that we're gonna have to take to get that implemented correctly?
So I think bottom line, it's been renamed. So it used to be DDAX, right?
Mm-hmm.
Data-driven approach to crime and traffic safety,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked for us in 2011 through 2013. I think with the former administration, we saw a 33% decrease in crime. And I think that's important to note because, uh, and that's the reason we're re-implementing it, because it worked. Obviously under another name, but it's very similar. The strategies are the same. And bottom line, it's putting together our crime and our traffic issues on a map and hotspotting, right? Creating these hotspots and then addressing them through our patrols.
Okay. So as far as you and me, we know what those acronyms and all the stuff stands for as far as safer. But as a regular citizen, what should they expect to see from us out on the streets?
Probably. So the strategy deals with making contact with people in vehicles, because most criminals use vehicles to go to commit a crime, or they use a vehicle to leave a crime scene. And I think what's important to note is that when we go out and make every attempt to catch these criminals, we're going to run into our own citizens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we're going to have to stop the regular citizen to find the criminal amongst these traffic violations and in the neighborhoods or in our hotspots.
Okay.
So it's going to be, I think it's going to be difficult to understand for the common citizen. They may see a little more officers committing, not committing, but stopping more cars and stopping more pedestrians.
And you took office in February, and from February until now, what have you seen any kind of change with this
Well,
implementation?
yes, because we've seen a reduction in crime. I believe you and I talked, and I think we've seen a reduction of 200 cases, and probably approximately up 200 less cases that our officers are dealing with. And then as far as our crime rate, we've dropped approximately 5.9%.
Oh, okay. It shows that it's working,
It's working.
and we're still in the early stages of getting this fully going, full 100%. Still adjusting and training the officers and getting them adjusted, but so far it's already shown that it's effective.
It's showing, yes.
Yes.
And there's a buy-in process, right?
Mhm.
I know that back in June, we trained our officers. We brought in professionals that teach the safer strategies, and we brought them down, and it was at no cost to the city.
Mhm.
And we brought them down and put several of our officers through the training just to get the buy-in, so they would know what it is what safer encompasses, and apply that out in the field.
Yeah, I think since we've gotten those trainings for the officers and discussed it, and we've also had like an hour trainings for this
Hmm.
also to go over with the patrol officers, I think we've seen an increase in productivity, correct?
Yes, we have. Hmm.
Okay. What other things that Safer does as far as like business owners and stuff like that, what should they see from that?
I think the business owners are already seeing the difference. I know initially when we started this, we were having some issues in the retail areas, and because we planned accordingly with Safer, we started using the Safer strategies again. We started implementing the philosophy. We right away we started seeing a reduction in the retail areas such as the Walmart, Kohl's, Academy area. We started seeing that reduction in crime.
Hmm. Okay. And that's all because we're getting to the criminals before they actually get to where they need to commit their crimes.
Yes.
That's through
Mhm.
the
Yes.
Safer principles. And I know we've talked about Safer, and there's other things that I've seen with you taking the helm of the PD is you like to work closely with other agencies. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
what that
and
is?
yeah, right from the beginning, I said we're gonna work with other agencies through collaboration with those agencies. And just an example, we brought in Department of Public Safety, right, the troopers, and I think overall we had 3 operations. We had approximately almost close to 800 traffic stops, and most of them were warnings, right? They're not necessarily giving tickets, but we're stopping cars, and that's part of the strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we had 15 DWIs and citations for other violations. But at the end of the day, the uh, the working together with DPS has helped us reduce crime here
Mm-hmm.
in our city.
And along with working with those agencies, I've also seen where you put out a social media post letting the citizens know, hey, we're going to be out full force for whatever holiday weekend, whatever what's happening, and you notify them, hey, we're going to be out,
Hmm.
so be prepared. You're going to get stopped, stuff like that. And then that I think that also helps when the operation goes through, that show that they're out there making their traffic stops. But it also showing the public that we're out there, we're doing
Yeah.
these things.
And so one of the things that I want to mention is that, I think the success is, and it's been mentioned before, right? Sometimes success is not necessarily how many arrests you make,
Hmm.
but how many arrests you didn't make.
Yeah.
And so with these 3 operations, we realized that, hey, the first operation, we ended up with 10 DWIs, right? And our last operation, we only had 2.
Hmm.
And I think part of it, I think the contributing factor too was we, and this is something you and I talked about, right? And we put out a social media post that said, hey, we're going to be out there this weekend. And I think it gave a lot of our citizens time to prepare
Hmm.
and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go out and have fun this weekend, but you know what? I'm going to call a Uber or Lyft or, a rideshare or a friend, right?
Hmm.
And I think that was important because at the end of the operation, that last operation, we only ended up with 2 DWIs.
TWS.
Mhm.
And that's one of the other things that besides bringing in the or re-implementing a strategy that works, we're assisting other agencies that are coming in to assist us with our operations. You mentioned social media. Um, we've seen a big push from you when you took aboard, um, putting more stuff out there on social media, sharing more what we're doing. What is your strategy with that?
It's just being transparent, letting people know what we're doing. I think a lot of the projects that we have, such as the community outreach that we're doing, right? Working with Valley Haven, a foster children, a home, working with Boys and Girls Club, which we're working together closely to engage with the kids. That water gun battle we had with the kids and the families, you know, uh, we need to let the public know what we're doing for one, and then also for engagement, right? Letting people know that we're transparent and we're not keeping anything hidden, right?
Mhm.
I think we need to be very open with the community and let them know what events are coming up, what criminals we're arresting, or what other strategies we're putting together uh, each and every week that we're doing something, right? Because I think it's important that the community understands, first of all, like safer, right? I know we put out a message that, hey, we train these officers in this philosophy, but letting people know, bottom line, what it is that the police department is doing and how we're engaging with the community.
Hmm. And I think one of the events you mentioned about the water wars, um, that one was a new event. We got some officers exposed to that, and it was the first time we've ever done it. And we were kind of hoping people showed up, and people did,
People showed up.
and they showed up, and it was a good time for officers. because we got to step back to being kids and being kids with these kids that were there. We had water gun fights. It was fun for an hour or two or whatever it lasted. I think there was a good event, and it bridged a big gap between us and some of the citizens that were there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you get the kids to feel comfortable with you, and
Mm-hmm.
one day when they may need you, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to feel comfortable calling you.
Yeah, and I think that was a good strategy. We did that one, and then followed up right after that. We did a youth academy.
Yeah.
I was part of the youth academy. We had overwhelming response for that when we was posted on social media. We had about 50 applications put in. 42 showed up. We spent 3 days with these kids, and we taught them so many different tactics that we use as law enforcement officers. Have you gotten any feedback from the public about that one?
Yes, a lot of the parents sent me messages or posted messages on social media. And something else that came out of that was, I think, our youth program, the Police Explorer program, grew by about tenfold. So I think we had some kids join that particular program. So there's a benefit to putting out these programs and letting people know, hey, we welcome your kids to these programs. And aside from the engagement, sometimes it turns into a career for some kids.
Yeah, and I've seen it where the focus is getting back onto the streets, getting back into bridging the gap between the kids and us and the citizens. I know we have bigger plans coming along down the road that we've already been talking about. What else should citizens of Harlingen expect from Chief now coming up in the next few months?
I think expect a little, obviously, more crime reduction, right? We will be working together with other agencies. Right now, we're working with the school district to set up a safety plan. We have some meetings coming up, obviously, with them. And then, obviously, working with the district attorney's office is another plan where we'll be meeting with them and setting up meetings with them to make our cases better, right? Because they prosecute our cases, and it's important that people get justice, right? And in order to do that, we need to do things right. And so we need to engage with the district attorney's office and make cases better.
Okay. And on top of that, I know this is something new that we're doing. We have done a podcast before. We're 3 episodes in. What is your goal, your idea behind of creating something like this for?
I think at the end of the day, it's transparency, right? Letting people know who we are, right? Who are we? We live in this community. I think a good majority of the officers live here. They play here. Our spouses work here. My wife, who I credit for a lot of my success, she works here in Harlingen, right? And my son goes to school here. So to me, it's very important that we're transparent and that we show the public that we're part of them, right? We're part of the same community.
Okay. So my hope for this podcast going forward, also I've talked to you before, is we want to get our public to know some of our officers. We'll bring in different officers throughout, doing different episodes, talking about different events. Sometimes we'll bring them in just to talk to them about them and their career and their hobbies and what future they want to do. And then we'll talk about, with the past episode we had with Officer Moreno, we talked about National Night Out. We've also talked about safety for back to school. We have some other things coming up in the next few weeks that we're going to talk about. Do we see anywhere in the future possibly having other maybe civilians come in to talk to us, or concerns being shared off of Facebook?
And I don't see why not. I mean, I think something like this opens up to a lot of other things, right? And you're correct. This is not necessarily for us to be putting out information, but maybe having other visitors come in and discuss maybe some problems in our community, or discuss what we're doing right or doing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I foresee maybe even doing a little more.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to cover, Chief? I know you're a busy man.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to share with the community that we're here for them, right? We're here to serve them, and at the end of the day, like I said, we're part of this community, so we're trying to make this a better PD.
Awesome, Chief. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
We'll probably sit down again later on and go over what
Definitely.
else has been updated. But thank you. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Yep.